guys, so today we're gonna do an oil change on a 2015 Hyundai Sonata and just replace it with full synthetic oil, so we only have to replace it once a year because it's a little bit tougher to get to since it has the full pan at the bottom where you gotta take off, or the air ducting, whatever you want to call it. And basically what that bottom thing does is it directs the airflow throughout the engine to cool down certain parts of the car, and without it your car may run a little bit hotter. So we're gonna have to take that off to access the oil, the filter and the drain plug and stuff. But there's like 1,000 screws in there, so on the newer cars it takes a little bit longer to change the oil than the older vehicles, but we'll get to it and get that changed out. So here's what we got. We got the 520 motor oil. We got the higher mileage. It only has about 68,000 miles, somewhere around there, but we end up going with the high mileage full synthetic because it was on sale, and the higher mileage typically has a little bit better additives to it. And then we got the Wix XP, so that way it pairs up with the full synthetic oil. If you buy the cheap filter, your oil is only as good as the filter you purchase. So we got the Wix XP. This one is rated for full synthetic, and here's the number if you're trying to look for it. So when you're under the car, you can see that there's these little bolts that run along this pan here, and what you need to do is take them all off. I'm using a number 10, but certain ones have a Phillips head, so you could use a Phillips or a number 10, and you go throughout the whole underpan and take those all out. You might be able to just get by with just taking off the back section, because this is 2 halves, and that's what I'm going to try first before actually devoting a lot of time into taking off the front half of it. Okay, so what I end up having to take out was the ones on the back side, the ones that are along here, and then the ones on this front shroud here, so they go all the way down. And when you take those out, your whole bottom pan on the back side will come off. These ones were loose, very loose. The car recently got hit on the side while it was parked, and the idiots who fixed the car from Geico, or what Geico recommended, suck, and they didn't tighten everything up. So what you want to use to take off the little drain plug, let's see. So to take this one off right here, you're going to need a number 17 socket. To take off this, you could use an oil filter wrench, or you could use some water pumps and take it off yourself. One thing to note is do everything yourself. Don't hire anybody to do it. Don't take it in, because what they end up doing is stripping out your drain plug, or they don't put the crap together right. And the last people who worked on this car was a professional shop, and they left all these bolts on this undercarriage here loose, and they didn't care to tighten them up. So yeah, definitely don't rely on anybody else except for yourself when working on your vehicle, unless you want it to be jacked up at the end of the day. So as you can see, it's kind of dark. The last place to replace this, or said that they replaced it, was the people who sold us the vehicle, and seems kind of sketchy because they replaced the oil twice, and one time they told us, or on the second time they said that it was really dirty and that was the issue, but they didn't know what the hell they were talking about. So never trust a car salesman, and never trust someone to change your oil except for yourself. So when you're draining it into here, make sure you lower your jack so it brings down the oil pan level and it allows more of the oil to go out, or try to lift up the front so it goes out the rear. and you empty out your oil pan completely. Also, if you don't let your car sit, there may be some oil sitting in the heads or up in the motor, the top end of the motor, and so all of it will not come out. Also, what you want to make sure doing is right on the oil filter the month that you changed it and how many miles you have, so that way you could gauge when your next oil change is if you forget. So that's a good little tip to write down. And then make sure when you take off the oil filter from up here, you take it off, you drop it in. The oil filter does fill up with oil, so it may take a little bit more than specified, or more than you think, just because a little bit more has to fill up this oil filter. And then when applying the oil filter into the engine, you want to make sure you lubricate this O-ring here with some motor oil. It doesn't have to be the new stuff. You could just dip your finger in what you have over here and then just kind of wipe it around the rim, and then from there do it hand tight and then give it a quarter turn to fully tighten it. After you drive your vehicle for a couple days, double check your oil to make sure the oil level's good. I would check it within the same day, but make sure there's no leaks within a couple of days. If you see a few leaks, you might need to retighten your oil filter, or you might need to retighten your drain plug, because the heat allows it to back off a little bit and everything expands and contracts. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so that's going to complete today's video. I'm just going to run the time lapse of installing the motor oil into the vehicle, and just make sure you get a clean funnel. Make sure you clean it out before you start inserting it, and then put this in. Once it takes the 5 quarts, run your engine around the block or something, and then let it sit for about, I want to say, maybe an hour. Check your dipstick, make sure it's up to the proper level. If it's not, then you're gonna have to add more, and that would probably be because your oil is gonna go into the oil filter, which is gonna take up some of your 5 quarts that it recommends to put in. Other than that, let's hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you want to see more videos like this, another video I'll be posting, definitely hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up if you liked the video. If you didn't, too bad. See you in the next one.